You there, check this out. Isn't that awesome? But there's more. Thank you to Gabe Follower for alerting me to this, and to Generic Icon for actually making the script for this, which spawns sleeping people for me to stack on top of each other harmlessly. In this video I will be hosting the largest sleepover the world has ever seen. Don't worry, all these people are trained stuntmen, not a single person was harmed in the making of this video. Probably. So this script gives me two tools. Left click spawns a new person, and right click detonates an explosion that's totally harmless, it just tosses them through the air like a really fun ride at a theme park. I wish this hadn't been added because there's always the temptation to trigger it when the stack gets big enough, and there doesn't seem to be a limit to how many people I can spawn. Well, there is, but we'll get to that in a bit. Older Counter-Strike games like CS2 used Havok physics, but Source 2 uses Rubicon physics. Both are spelt with K's when they should be C's. But what's the difference? Why did Valve change? Havok wasn't made by Valve, it's a third party, so Valve simply used it. But Rubicon seems to have been a Valve-developed physics engine, so I can see several benefits to switching to that straight off the bat. For a start, Havok costs money. Anybody wanting to sell a game of theirs created using the Source engine needed to pay $25,000 for the privilege of using Havok physics. I would imagine, since Valve has shown signs in the past of wanting to nurture a community around their games and platforms, that this would serve as a bit of a roadblock. Just a few years ago in 2021, Valve asked Havok's owner, Microsoft, very nicely if people could use it for free, and they were all like, oh alright then. But by then Valve had already created their own Rubicon physics engine, and I would imagine even if Havok physics has become free for third parties to use, it's still a lot simpler for Valve to use their own Rubicon physics, which they have complete control over. Oh, and then there's the obvious advantage that Rubicon is better. Don't get me wrong, Havok served Valve's games well. Half-Life 2's gameplay was all about the physics interactions. Why do you think the gravity gun was so much fun? Havok. And the physics in Half-Life 2 still hold up to this day. It's jolly good fun. So although I'm about to shit all over this physics system, I'm only really talking about its implementation in Source games when applied to use cases that it was never intended for. Havok is still a big, powerful thing responsible for driving many hundreds of modern game titles. It has no doubt advanced and improved many times over the years. It's just that Source hasn't. The best showcase of Havok's limitations that I've found online is in this video by Gutrial, where he demonstrates the different physics engine's features.
Maybe if CSGO gets ported to Source 2, Philip can make an epic sequel to his defenestration map.
What a great guy. So as well as that great suggestion, in this video he also demonstrates how Source 1's Havok physics can be defeated simply by putting some objects inside of the other ones. With Half-Life Alyx being pretty much all about putting objects inside other ones, this just wouldn't do. Here you can see that I've placed some stuff inside a bucket, which itself is inside another bucket. Thanks Rubicon physics, very cool. But maybe Havok can still stack bodies. Let's try it. For science. Straight away, they look a little more twitchy and janky, but I wouldn't say it's too big a problem. It's certainly more good than bad. But after about a dozen people, you can tell the physics engine doesn't like it. Stuff starts to flick and writhe about into a bubbling, pulsating masquerade. Sleepover. And then the real problems begin. The calculations get too complex, and the whole thing begins slowing down. This isn't my PC slowing down. I mean it is, but it's not my PC's fault. It's the physics engine and its various constraints that are to blame. And what you see here has been my experience with the Source engine for the last 18 years. It works, but push it too far and its physics begin to bug out, to freeze, to make slidey sounds, and to generally go all like no, once you've stacked enough things on top of each other. Which is something that Source 2's physics do not seem to have trouble with. So let's begin the stacking. For the memes, I tried filling Dust 2's spiral staircase with as many people as I could, and it turns out bodies are surprisingly sticky. They don't just freely slide off each other and roll down to the bottom of the stairs. They like to remain where they land, kind of like me on a night out. A quick explosion shifts them though. But how about that? With enough dedication and enough friends, you can fill an entire route in Counter-Strike with enough bodies. But it won't block players. I will say to you now that in normal gameplay, fallen characters will not block your movement. But these magically spawned ragdolls, still alive and perfectly okay, are different from that, being all solid and squishy sounding. And having enough of them strewn about the place can make it difficult to traverse the area. Something I learned from all this in-depth research I was doing is that it takes a lot of bodies to fill up a space. You can have hundreds of them, and the pile will still look rather modest. There is a certain comedy to filling up a doorway with people, but the reality is that by that point the frame rate tends to be taking a bit of a nosedive, which takes the fun out of it a bit. So until I can create my own custom level with lots of very narrow chutes to fill, let's end with Dust 2's classic Bombsite A, and put to the test how many people we can spawn, how big the pile can get, and what that will look like. Every 20 characters I spawned, I took another picture from this angle just to document my progress. It was all smooth sailing for the first 100, no slowdown, smooth physics, and it all holds up impressively well. Well done Valve, it's a good physics engine. After this, it did begin to slow down, but kind of understandably. As I approached 200, the frame rate did start getting choppy enough to make it difficult to move my character around. But the physics continued to hold up. I passed the 256 mark without a problem. At this point, the sky's the limit. By 300, my PC was getting really slow. Can't say I blame it. By 400, the pile was getting very impressive. My frame rate, less so. Here is what 450 looks like. And then at 477, the game finally crashed. Not a bad effort. So here it is. Feast your eyes on this. This is the largest sleepover ever conducted in Counter-Strike 2 so far.